Hello, everyone, and welcome to our Vegan Spirituality online gathering. I'm Lisa Levinson, and I helped to start Vegan Spirituality many moons ago. And what we do is we offer emotional tools for animal activists and support, and we also explore veganism as a spiritual practice. And we do that together through these online gatherings, but we also have in-person gatherings, and you can find one near you by going to veganspirituality.com. It's my pleasure to welcome everyone today, and I am also the campaigns director with In Defense of Animals, and I get the wonderful opportunity to introduce my co-host, Judy Carmen, who is author of Peace to All Beings and Homo Ahimsa. Hi, Judy.
Hi, Lisa. Thank you for that nice introduction. And I get to introduce these incredible speakers that we have tonight. But before I do that, I wanted to let everybody know that as I was doing the notes last night, I noticed that we have been doing these interviews, vegan spirituality interviews, since 2015. So
Wow.
we've done like maybe 80 of them. And we just are so grateful to all of you for joining in with us and holding this space for vegan spirituality. And as Lisa's talking about, giving us a special time in our day to practice veganism as a spiritual path. So with that being said, I have these two distinguished guests to introduce, and I'll just have a brief introduction for each of them. They've done so much for animals and for the planet in this world. So there's a lot to say, but I'm going to keep it as short as I can. So first of all, we have Renee King-Sonnen. She is the founder and executive director of Rowdy Girl Sanctuary, which is a nonprofit whose mission is to provide sanctuary to farm animals who are at risk of being slaughtered and promotes an ethical vegan lifestyle. Rowdy Girl Sanctuary seeks to educate the public on plant-based options, FFA and 4-H factory farming practices, and the devastating impact of animal agriculture on the environment. Since going vegan on October 31st, 2014, Renee led the transformation of a cattle ranch to a sanctuary. And if y'all haven't heard her story before, there are things you can watch online, and I'll tell you a little bit more. It's an amazing story, wonderful story. So she turned the cattle ranch into a sanctuary for more than 120 animals. And this is the first documented beef cattle ranch that converted to 100% vegan sanctuary in history. As a result, her husband, Tommy Sonnen, a former cattle rancher, is now vegan. And together they are creating a strong vegan footprint in Texas and have become a model for what is possible for other ranchers to do. Most recently, Renee's been the subject of a documentary, Rowdy Girl, that premiered in Toronto at Hot Docs. And she has just completed a memoir, Secret Diary of a Cattle Rancher's Wife, which will be published in the fall of this year. So we're looking forward to that. And then our second guest is Reverend Saunders. Having worked in industry for 20 years as a chemical engineer, Reverend Saunders is currently an ordained Unity and Interfaith minister. She founded a Unity Church in Deerfield, Illinois, in 2010 and led it for over 10 years. She's now the host of the Spiritual Forum podcast, which I love and listen to often, where each week she has interesting conversations with people on spiritual topics. Committed to restoring within unity its founder's original teachings on ethical living and our relationship with animals, which is maybe surprising to some of you, that these ministers were trying to get that idea across in the late 1800s, early 1900s. She organizes, in order to do that, she organizes an annual retreat at Unity Village called the Road to Eden, a whole planet spirituality forum and retreat. So right down our alley, right? She is author, compiler of the booklet, The Forgotten Teachings of Charles Fillmore, How Our Relationship with Animals Connects to Universal Love, Ethical Living, Spiritual Development, and World Peace. Reverend Carol also blogs about the awakening of human consciousness at wolfandthelamb.com. She lives in Wisconsin with her husband of 42 years, their 2 dogs and 3 cats, and she just became a grandmother about, what, a month ago?
3 weeks.
2 weeks, okay. So, and if you're wondering why we have both Renee and Carol on the show, it is because this retreat that Carol has organized, which is called Peace Begins With Me, that's happening in October 19th through the 22nd. Renee is the featured speaker and Carol's the organizer. So we're going to hear all about that and what that does. I mean, for the earth, the energy field that it sends out to really the whole world and all the animals to have something so fantastic as that retreat. And Carol will tell us how you can register if you decide you want to come. And one unique thing about this retreat is it's in the Midwest, which rarely happens, I can tell you, because I live in the Midwest. And it's going to be it says Unity Village, Missouri, but that is right on the eastern edge of Kansas City. So that's where it is. That's the heart of the country. So, you know, it's a short flight for everybody. So, okay, so let me ask Carol, tell us more about the retreat. And then Renee, I'd like you to tell us about what you're going to be speaking about, because that's going to be very exciting too. Take it away,
Thank you,
Carol.
Judy. Yeah, thank you. Thank you everyone for being here. This retreat is in its 3rd year, and it is something that plan to do annually. It's my hope that we do this annually. It started as kind of a one-time thing. Let's see what happens. And it was really, really great and great energy, lots of fun, but it's a very bonding, connecting, collaborating place. Last year, we had a good number of people who were the spectrum of pre-vegan to vegan. So we probably had about 20% pre-vegan. So this is kind of one of the things that's unique about the retreat is that we invite everybody from wherever they are on their vegan journey to be in this space together, and we learn together and connect. And we had some real newbies last year who knew nothing about veganism, just opened their eyes, knew nothing about the farming practices, nothing at all. And they went away taking the steps to become vegan. So the retreat theme last year was a road to Eden. This year it is Peace Begins With Me. And the idea of this, so first of all, we're going to have lots of workshops and speakers and spiritual practices and music and all of that good stuff, plus Renee as the keynote. But it's going to be centered around this theme that we hold the potential to be the peacemakers on the planet. But we tend to want peace to happen out there, just everyone needs to be peaceful out there. Or if we all just do this, things will be peaceful. But the one thing that we have control over is our own inner peace. And all of us experience some sort of inner dissonance, whether we are talking about being peaceful and loving, but eating animals and inadvertently hurting other beings, or whether we're vegan activists and we're so angry at humanity or, whether we're churchgoers and we sing "Let There Be Peace on Earth," but then we go to a potluck and carve up dead bodies, or whether we're a person who wants to speak on behalf of animals, but we just have problems with our voice. And so all of that causes inner dissonance. All of that causes us to be less peaceful people. So that's the focus of this retreat, is what are all the things that we can do personally to allow that discord to just relax and to align ourselves with inner peace. Because until we are completely peaceful ourselves, we're not going to be able to create it. We're not going to be able to make the world become peaceful. And Charles Fillmore, which you spoke about, Judy, this is my little booklet here. The Fillmores taught this stuff. They said that we will not have world peace as long as we're harming animals. They said that, universal love, it's all about including everyone. They taught this, the founders of Unity. So early Unity was all about this. I'm not saying it's the only thing about this, but it was definitely, they understood the metaphysics, they understood the energy, they understood that we needed to be loving and peaceful ourselves in order to create this world in that way. So that's really generally what we're doing at this retreat. We're going to have fabulous vegan food. We have 3 dinners catered by Gigi's Vegan Cafe is doing the lunches, and then Cafe Gratitude is doing the dinners. It's going to be all organic. The food is always a big selling point for people. But we're going to be allowing more time this year for collaboration and connection. We have kind of in the past oversubscribed some of the presentations so that there's so many people have things to say. We've created a little bit more space in this one, so that we can have a little more group work and more individual work and a little more spiritual practices. And like Judy said, it's in the heart of the nation. It's in the heart of the nation. We need to place our energy there, not just on the coast. We need to place our energy there, right in the heart of the nation, and let our love and joy just reverberate out into the world. And we know that there's a lot of ranching and farming and all in that part of the world. And our energy, I mean, I'm not saying that everything's going to change overnight, but our energy needs to be there. So I feel really strongly about where we're located. Is there anything else that I missed, Judy? Before we go to Renee?
So how can people register?
Yes, great. So all of the information about this retreat, including the schedule as it stands today, it's constantly changing as we're kind of looking at more of the dynamics of people and how we want to connect. But it's all on thespiritualforum.org/retreat. And that's my website. My podcast is there. My prayer ministry is there. And my retreat ministry is there. thespiritualforum.org/retreat. So all the information's there and the registration's there. We have in-person option, which I think is really important and the best thing that we can offer, because there's nothing better than being, face to face and hand to hand and our energy being together. But if you can't attend personally, we also have an online option. We need to have at least 10 people, at least, to sign up for the online option in order for it to be a break-even event. One thing that there's also a daily option. So if you can only come for one day, we have that too. We're very flexible. We want as many people to come as possible. Renee King-Sonnen is our fabulous keynote this year. It's going to be so much fun having her, and she's going to stay with us the whole time, which is, I think, different than a lot of events. Sometimes the speakers come and go. So she's going to be staying with us and participating. And yay. And there's one other thing I forgot, and then I remembered, and I just forgot it again. So I don't know what to say about that. It'll come to me. Oh, I know.
It will come to you.
I know. So the first year we watched the documentary Prayer for Compassion. And then last year we decided, well, we don't want people to come to a retreat. We're not sure we want to all sit around and watch a documentary. So we're not going to do a documentary last year. We did a really short film. It was really great. And so this year that was our plan. But because Renee is going to be with us, and because her documentary is 70 minutes, And it's so fabulous. It's such just an experiential thing that's just wonderful. It's really kind of like the days on the life of her ranch and the work she's doing, which she'll be talking about. We're going to be showing that documentary on Friday night. So that's the other thing I wanted to mention.
Oh.
So Renee, can tell us what you're going to be talking about. Now we know we're going to see the film. That'll be wonderful.
Oh, sure. Thank you so much. Yeah, I'm really looking forward to coming and not just speaking, but participating. I think it's so very important for animal rights activists to just to stop and take the time to do the self-reflection, to pray, to be a part of a community, to inspire one another. And so I am so grateful that I'm able to not just fly in and fly out, but to actually stay and be a part of such a grand several days. I'm looking so forward to it. So thank you, Carol, for putting such a great program together and for asking me to come. Yeah, so the talk that I'm going to be putting together is actually called, got it right here. It's called From Scriptures to Sanctuaries, Spiritual Veganism, and the Evolution of Animal Rights. I come from a, traditional Christian background, and my book goes into a whole lot of the ins and outs of all that because I totally left the Christian faith in my mid-20s when I was actually raped by a preacher, and it's all in my book. And so that set me out on a journey of self-discovery. And it was, I was actually able to take not only that trauma, but other trauma that's happened in my life. And I've been able to really see the value of things that we perceive that happen to us as real gifts of being able to become the spiritual diamonds that we're all capable of. We are all capable of being so much more than we think we are. And the trauma and the life events, especially the ones that aren't so fun, really help to shape and create the perfection of the imperfect spiritual being. It's like, I don't know, all that stuff happened through me, not to me. I am a different person than all of the trauma that happened to me. But a lot of the things I'm going to be talking about at the retreat are going to be a lot of the studies, a lot of the spiritual studies, because I am a spiritual seeker. Like, that is all I do in my spare time. Like beside my chair, in my meditation room, in my spiritual practice room, I have all the spiritual books, whether they be, the Gospel of Peace, the Essene Jesus, whether they be the Tao, whether they be, books on, Hinduism, Taoism, Sikhism, a Wiccan, you name it, I've studied it and not just glanced it. I go deep. It's what I do. This last month, Lisa Levinson and I were honored to be on the same panel together at the AVA Summit. And I actually presented a 15-minute PowerPoint on Christian vegan advocacy because I have so much depth in Christianity. I thought, oh my God, I am going to go into the Bible like gangbusters and just find every vegan animal rights verse. I'm going to learn them. I'm going to be able to just use them left and right. so we've been doing that. I got to do that presentation. It was very well received. And I'm actually making a flyer. The presentation is on our YouTube channel. So you can actually share that with any, body that that might be Christian, looking for Christian, that you want to get Christian verses. The PowerPoint is available free of charge to anybody that wants to use it. The main thing is I really want to shine a spotlight on good Christian people that aren't vegan, that should be vegan. We all should be vegan. Anybody that claims to love God, regardless of whether it's Jesus or Buddha or Allah, it doesn't matter. If we claim to love God and love this planet, we should all be vegan. And it's something we've got to learn to talk about. It's just so important. Do y'all want to hear about any of the work we're doing? I'm not sure what all I'm supposed to talk about other than my talk.
Yeah, I know everyone would love to hear about the ranch, and I mean the sanctuary, I should say.
It's so.
And and all your work with other ranchers is just so amazing. So yeah, please share that. Yeah.
I could do a quick synopsis. We are the first documented beef cattle ranch to go vegan in the world. That's I get to carry that claim. And so far, nobody's come up to me and said, no, I was first. But and the reason why it's so interesting is because when it happened, it was like the craziest thing to so many people. It's like, you did what on a cattle ranch? What? And so if you're on a cattle ranch, going vegan is like, you just don't do that.
Right.
Well,
Yeah.
and so anyway, I did that in October of 2014, and it became a phenomenon. It was like a fire was lit. It was something that needed to happen. And my quest to save all the animals on our farm, all the cows from going to slaughter, became not only my mission, but the world's mission to help me do it, because I was so desperate, and I just used every skill I had to reach to the top of the movement, to do whatever. I didn't know anybody, at that time. I was a brand new vegan, and all I knew is I had to save the animals. So I didn't know that Howard Lyman was famous. I didn't really care if he had clout and he could help me. I wanted to talk to Howard Lyman. Kip Anderson reached out to me out of the blue. He heard I was doing all this. He reached out. He wanted to help. And now, he's been on our board ever since. He's a big mentor, friend of mine. In fact, I'm talking to him right after this call. So, it's like the cream of the vegan cream of the crop came to my aid. And in less than 4 months, I bought my husband's cows from him, and started the sanctuary, what was once a cattle ranch in the heart of Texas. And every step of the way, my husband came along. He was not at first very open to it at all. He was very anti-vegan. He wanted nothing to do with it. Whenever we were, right before I, bought his cows, or we agreed that I would buy his cows, we had a showdown in the pasture, and, I told him that if he took those cows up the road one more time, I was going to take his credit card, and I was going to go to the sale barn, and I was going to buy them all back as soon as he dropped them off, and I was going to buy them myself and bring them back home. And he was livid, because he knew I'd do such a thing. And so anyway, somehow this story captured the imagination of the animal rights and the world. I mean, it was on CBS Evening News. It was on Animal Planet. It was on Southwest Airlines. It's been told in a dozen languages or so. And so, yeah, that is what happened. And then cattle ranchers started reaching out to me, other farmers wanting to know, how could we do such a thing without, without making money? What do you do to make money? And so that became the, my next piece of the puzzle to solve was, okay, I guess, I'm going to have to figure out that, well, that is not an easy equation. It still has not been solved. So I don't want anybody to think that transitioning a cattle ranch and selling all your cows and going vegan is going to magically give you another income, because it's not. You've got to have the kind of passion that I had to do whatever it takes to figure out how to bring the money in, because otherwise it can be very daunting, be very scary, be very hard. But I do have the heart, I do have the spirit to help anybody that reaches out to me find answers, find solutions, connect dots, because we're a resource. I took my talents, I took my skills, and I created a nonprofit that got, some very, very good notoriety. And now the documentary Rowdy Girl is, in fact, it's going to be in Long Island. It's going to be in Connecticut. I know that it's going to be in Seoul, Korea. All this in October, the month of October. Rowdy Girl is going to be in these places, I know for sure. And we may be coming to California also in October. So we're working that out with Linda Middlesworth, is trying to get us in California. So, and then the book, there's a lot going on with that book. Let me tell you, that book is, a lot of people are so excited about that book in the film world, in the publishing world. So I have not sold any rights to anybody, but I tell you what, a lot of people are talking to me about a lot of things, and who knows, the secret diary of a cattle rancher's wife may go mainstream. I don't know. All I know is I just keep showing up.
Wow, Renee,
Yeah.
it's so great. And it's such a unique way to get the message across, because so many of us, being in the vegan movement, being activists, we weren't ranchers. And so you have this this aura about you as someone who has lived that life. And I think that's one reason it's gotten so much attention and inspired so many people to think, wow, this is a transformation that really can happen. And here's somebody that it happened to, and I want to know more about it. And then of course the next thought is, I wonder what it's like to be vegan, and why did she go vegan? And so it just really has such a huge impact, your life. And of course, Howard Lyman had a similar message. He didn't do what you did, but he had that developed that kind of that essence about him, that he knew what it was like before, and realized this isn't right. And so that's just huge. But I wanted to ask both of you, because one of the things we talk about on this show often is, how do we cope with the pain and the grief that we're exposed to by learning what happens to the animals? And we've most of us, I believe, and one of the reasons that Lisa founded Vegan Spirituality was to help people have a spiritual basis with which to cope with all this grief. But I'm noticing with both of you, you're taking like really practical, assertive actions. And I wonder if taking those actions helps you with your grief. And so I'm asking both of you. So whoever wants to talk first.
I'll start. I honestly don't think I'm in the same kind of action that Renee is. So I bow down at your feet, Renee, because you're in the trenches doing the work. And like, I just volunteered at we have a sanctuary that's about 35 minutes from me, and I just volunteered. I started volunteering there last week, and it was kind of, shoveling the, but for me, it was like shovel, shovel, pet, 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 shovel, pet, shovel, pet, 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 pet. I just love being around the animals. I think, yeah, for me, being around the animals helps. For me, it helps a lot. The energy of just being around the animals, it just brings out my inner child. I do think that we can use our spiritual practices. I do think that we can use prayer. And I remember at the retreat 2 years ago when we showed a prayer for compassion, I remember one individual coming up to me and saying, "Are there going to be graphic images?" And I said, in this particular movie, there are graphic images. They're only up for like 2 seconds. They're short, but there are graphic images. And I said to her, I know it's hard and you don't have to watch them. The way I look at it is it's helpful for others to wake up. And for those of us that are already awake to this, we are energetically bearing witness. We are holding the space for the animals in their dire situation. We are energetically opening our hearts and holding them, even if it happened in the past. So there's nothing about, that happened 10 years ago. You can pray for what happened in the past and bring your energy to that space and be that loving presence. That's one thing I think can be helpful from a spiritual practice standpoint. And like you said, Judy, I think it's really important to align our feelings and our thoughts and our actions. And some of us, most of us are kind of a little bit stilted in one of those. Some of us are very active and, our feelings and our thoughts aren't quite as in line. We maybe love in action, but we also maybe hate with our words, that kind of thing. So I do think action is one prong. I think feelings is the other. And I think thoughts is the other. So that we kind of just keep ourselves as balanced as possible and bring ourselves fully to every situation, every encounter in the world. I think our movement is one of love and peace. I think we've got to love everybody. I think that if we're holding hate for anybody, that's something to work on. So I'm not sure that's answering the question how to deal with grief, but I do think it's part of the process of how to heal the collective grief that we have. I want to say one more thing and then I'll pass it to the Queen, Renee. I just think you're wonderful. I think that I think we're all wounded children. Okay. All of us are wounded children. I'll be talking about this at the retreat too. All of us are wounded children from the moment we had to hurt any animal, from the moment we had to do anything that was against our nature. So all of us are walking around in a state of some kind of trauma. And so another way to deal with grief, I think, is to go into ourselves deeply and just love our inner child, bring him or her out to play. Like I said, when I go to the sanctuary, I love to play with the animals. It just, I don't know, my inner child comes out. And I think that that's another way that we can kind of heal some of the grief that we experience. Because what we tend to do is put her or him away. You can't see this. This is too hard for you. Big adult, I'll deal with it, and we need to bring her or him, the young child, to the surface and integrate them into our being. So that's deep spiritual work. And I'll pass to Renee.
Yes, thank you so much. And I appreciate the kind words and the reflection because, I think we're all just great reflections of one another. I agree wholeheartedly with what you just said, Carol, because the trauma I experienced as a little girl, I witnessed so much domestic violence, very, very violent, extreme, and it's all in the book. And the violence that was perpetrated on me through, repeated sexual trauma. Getting through all that has given me the means to feel deeply the plight of the animals. I used to watch a lot of the trauma that the animals go through. I used to like just beat myself up with it almost. I used to watch it over and over and over, but it was like I needed to get it in me so that I could feel their pain without question. I need to be able to talk about their trauma, their pain. And it's so interesting that we make such a big deal out of our own trauma. We go to therapy, we spend months, years, our whole life in therapy because, this, that, and the other, the trauma event, but nobody thinks about the poor trauma of the animals. So in my mind, I always see that my trauma, yes, it's valid, it happened, but their trauma, there's no way that anything I have been through is worse or can even compare to theirs. Coming from that place, I take extremely good care of myself. One of the best things we can do as animal rights activists is to make extreme self-care the number one priority. I attend several yoga classes a week. I meditate, pray. I spend a lot of time in prayer and meditation. I do sound baths. I do, whatever I have to do, massage therapy, facial, whatever I have to do to stop and take care of this body. I do my best to get a good night's sleep, although I tend to function very well on, 5 or 6 hours of sleep. So I know I probably should sleep more, but I don't. And so, and I do eat well. The longer I'm vegan, the more inclined I am to eat more whole food, plant-based type foods. Am I perfect at it? No, but I crave better foods. I do my best not to eat a lot of junk. Every now and then I'll have a cookie or whatnot, but I don't like just gorge on a bunch of vegan junk. I take care of myself and take in a lot of fresh air. I spend enormous amounts of time with the animals. I'm very blessed to, have an office that has Sealy the turkey in it, Bun the rabbit, chickens that come in and out of my office. I got 2 cats that live in there, and they're all one big happy family, and so Bun the rabbit's playing with the cats, the turkey. And so it's, that's just in my office. And you step out of the office and you have the whole menagerie, and so I think it's just real important to take care of ourselves and to understand how to take our own trauma and juxtapose it alongside the trauma of the animals and, and merge that understanding and be the voice for them that, we would want somebody to be for us if it was happening to us. It's just that simple. And being able to use the Bible, I think, is one of the best things we can do to help in so many ways. I saw somebody in one of the chat mention Matthew Scully. Matthew Scully is in our brain trust for our book. He's read the whole book manuscript and offered editing suggestions. The book is going to be it's quite the story. Right now it's a little over 60,000 words. And so I think that book is going to help also. Once it comes out, it's going to really help because I talk about the trauma. I talk about how, all yogis should be vegan. I have a yoga teacher. I am a teacher. I was teaching yoga in the 90s. And so I have over 600 hours of teacher training in yoga and meditation and Ayurveda. And so, all yogis should be vegan. And so I talk about that in the book. I go into the entire story. And so it's just a collection of really cool things that I think is going to help everybody in their walk. So.
Well, I have no doubt I cannot wait to read it. Renee, thank you. Thank you. And Carol, thank you for your wonderful advice, heartfelt advice. I'm thinking that Lisa may want to open up for Q&A right now. And there she is.
That's a great idea. Thanks
Yeah, I
to
see lots of comments and some questions. So yeah, see what everybody's
thanks
asking.
to everybody for joining us and having such a lively conversation in the chat box, and also to Renee for sharing your story with us, and to Carol for sharing such an inspiring view of what's to come at Peace Begins With Me. And I look forward to attending myself. So
Can I add one more thing about the retreat?
Sure.
I want to let everybody know that we will tithe to Renee's sanctuary.
Oh.
So, we did this the first year. We had Lisa, the IDA got a check. And I know that last year we had Gene Bauer from Farm Sanctuary, and we tithed to him. And this year we'll be tithing to Renee's sanctuary. So, some proceeds from our income will be going to the Rowdy Girl.
Oh, that's so sweet. Thank you. I'm honored.
Yeah, that is wonderful. It's a great practice, and it is it's a spiritual practice as well to do the tithing.
Yes.
So we do have one person who has raised their hand, and I'm just checking to see, Joanna, if you would like to ask your question. If we allow you to talk, you're welcome to ask it directly, or you can put it in the chat, or there's also a Q&A section, which will make it easier for us to find your questions. So Joanna, if you'd like to share, you can unmute. Well, if the unmuting doesn't work, we will try again. Looks like Donna. Oh, let's see, Joanna. We'll if you can unmute yourself, we'll give you that opportunity. But I think we'll try Donna and see if you would like to unmute yourself. Hi, Donna.
Hi there. Thank you so much. I am inspired by what Renee has been doing. And I have a distant cousin who I met 2 years ago, maybe 3 or 4. Anyway, she's a ranch farmer, loves her cows, loves the calves, devout Christian, and truly, in every way that I can measure, except for the eating habits, is a very loving person. And she, I went to visit her and see our ancestral, where we share an ancestor. But anyway, and I would love to, she knows I'm a vegan. She was very kind at accommodating my needs, which was difficult where she was, because we went for dinner and, I had some salad. I mean, there were, and we're riding in a vehicle that says eat beef. Anyway, long story to say, first of all, I was so pleased that we were able to connect together. That you couldn't be more opposite in politics and in, the veganism, etc. But we really connected. And I left it at that we connected. She knows how I feel about this. And I'm wondering, Renee, I think of her often when I, when I hear your story. I'm eager to get the book. And I'm just wondering what you think, how I might approach her. Should I just send her a copy of the book and say, I thought you'd enjoy this? Or I don't know. Do you have any suggestions, having been there yourself?
Yeah. Well, when you're steeped in the tradition of cattle ranching, it's like a tea bag, steeped in your water. It turns your water into whatever's in that tea bag. And unfortunately, cattle ranchers are like that, they're like pickles, you put a cucumber in the pickle jar, you're going to get a pickle, and the cattle ranchers are very much steeped in tradition. And so it's hard to unsteep them. The best way, give her the book for sure. God, but it's in developmental editing right now, because we're wanting to make sure that we don't just hit the reader over the head right out of the gate, which I have a tendency to do. I have a tendency to every chapter, boom, boom. And so right now they're taking the book and we're doing some developmental editing to it so that it builds more. And so it's been a real interesting for me. But I think the book is going to be a great way to give to somebody. And you got to be able to go in there. I always call it the back door. You can't go to a cattle rancher, a family member or friend in their front door and say, eating meat is wrong. You shouldn't be eating beef. They're going to look at you like you're crazy, and they're not going to want to talk to you. You're going to immediately turn them down, turn them away, and it's just not going to work. You've got to be able to develop an ability to go into the back door of their consciousness in such a way that they think they're thinking about it.
Renee, if you write this, if you're writing the book gently and building them up, it sounds like this might be the perfect back door. I've already got myself in the back door, and we truly share a bond. We both, love each other. And so I could she knows who I am. She knows how I feel. And I could, with a smile on my face, I'm sending you a book, and, I love you, and just something to think about. Would that be an approach?
Yeah, absolutely. Because she's going to relate to me. I mean, the thing is, she will relate to me. Yeah.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
Another thing you can do, Donna, is get a guitar and invite your relative to go out and sing to the cattle.
Well, she's in Nebraska somewhere, and I'm here in Maryland. So,
well, whenever you connect,
whenever I
invite her out to go
you,
sing to the cows.
Wonderful. Thank you both.
That's a great idea.
Helpful.
Wonderful. So I think we have a few other questions we're going to address, and so thanks to everyone who's asking them. One question was, what is the role of meditation and prayer in the spiritual path, and in what ways is it connected to the vegan journey?
Well, I can start with that. I think that the spiritual path is about practicing your spirituality. It's about practicing the presence. And so meditation and prayer are practices that you're practicing the presence. You're allowing your hold to your ego self and all of the stuff in your mind to just kind of loosen a little bit and float on by, and connect to the center of your being. And I think everything that happens that's good in the world comes from the center of our being. So if you want to be a really great advocate, if you want to do the kind of the work that Renee does, or whatever it is that you want to do, the best thing that we can do is be authentically who we are and be fully present. And so prayer and meditation are, I guess, they're like spiritual practices or tools that allow you to express yourself in that way. And how does it relate to the veganism? I think it relates because if you want to so first of all, veganism is love and peace. That's how I see it. I don't really see it as anything other than really fully being universal love and fully being peace. And we're extending it to animals, but even saying that we're extending it to animals implies that we weren't extending it before. So I really feel like when we're authentic as ourselves, veganism is just like who we are. I don't know if I'm making sense or not. So it's not like a vegan path or relating to veganism. It's like all one thing. You know, universal love is veganism. Peace is veganism. And these spiritual practices are what really support us in being authentically the divine beings that I think we were created to be. Renee, do you want to add to that?
Certainly. I was just going to say that, you know, I do believe that we should practice being present like animals are present, like cows are present, like chickens are present, like goats. We should practice being like them. And that is a beautiful meditation. When I first went vegan and my husband wasn't, and I wanted to just, you know, come out of my skin, you know, it was like my insides were on my outsides. I couldn't stand to be in the house. I went and lived with the cows. The first time, I'll never forget when I started just becoming part of the herd. I took my guitar, I took a sack lunch and my yoga mat, and I went out all day from sunrise till sunset. I was with those cows. You know, I sang to them, just like Carol was talking about. I meditated with them. I chanted. I just became a part of the herd, and they accepted me. I'll never forget the moment I started feeling accepted, you know? So the more we can get out of our thoughts and in between them in places that matter, like in nature, get out of our thoughts, get in between them in that place and magnify that space that's in between your own thoughts. That to me is the power. That is where the real power, that's where the magic is. That's where God is, really. So yeah, there's that.
Thank you. It's such a beautiful vision of you as part of the herd. That's really, really sweet. So let's see if we have any other questions. I think we do have a couple. One was a question actually for Carol, just a question about how you became vegan, or maybe that would be a story at the retreat.
Yeah, I'll tell it really quickly. Yeah, so I became vegetarian at the age of 15 in 1973, and it was a personal decision. I was 15 years old. I just wow, I just was, I don't know. I still don't know what took hold of me. I didn't know vegetarian. And I know now that vegetarian doesn't help that much. At the time, I thought it was huge. You know, I didn't really understand what was happening with dairy and chickens and whatnot. So I thought I was taking this huge step to give up meat. And I mean, I went to Purdue University. It's a land grant college. It's an agricultural college. I feel like I was the only vegetarian in the whole college. So I did that for, you know, I don't know, 30, 40 years. And, but I read, we talked to Matthew Scully. I read his book, Dominion, around, I don't know, 2004, something like that. And he like woke me up. He like pulled me out of like that first level of the matrix where, wow. I mean, I, even though I had given up meat for so long, I was not at all aware of what was happening with the animals in the farms, in the slaughterhouses. I just didn't let my mind go there. I felt like because I'd done this good thing, I didn't have to think about it anymore. It's humiliating to think about now, but that's where my mindset was. So Matthew Scully's book, I mean, everybody has, we talk about these back doors and we talk about these seeds. Everybody has something that just kind of like snaps them out. You know, that's why I think it's important that we keep speaking and not think that we fail if somebody doesn't, you know, convert when we talk to them, because they're all little seeds. And the book Dominion was mine. But that was a process. And I kind of like Renee, I really got into watching the videos of factory farming and slaughterhouses. I had to bear witness to all of it. Like for years of just ignorance, just bearing witness to it. And I remember I had 3 little girls at the time, and they would kind of walk behind me and kind of watch the video a little bit. That was kind of the way I kind of converted them. So it took me probably till about 2010 to finally, become vegan. That was harder for me. And it was harder for me because I just spent, almost 35, 40 years. I can't remember how many, predominantly eating, cheese and eggs and milk. I mean, that was a big part of my diet because I wasn't eating meat. And so that was a harder um, uh, change. But I mean, but for me, it took me 30 days or something like that, not like overnight. So that's kind of my vegan story. I think one of the things that we want to work on in the retreat is for those of us we all have guilt. We all have guilt. We all have shame and guilt about our ignorance, about, if we'd known better, we would have done better. Or, why did I eat eggs and cheese all those years? How many animals have I hurt? This is the other thing that kind of harms us. And Renee talked about self-care. So it's really important for us to really love ourselves up and just kind of like allow all that, whatever guilt might be there, to kind of heal. So that's my vegan story.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Carol, for sharing that. And hopefully it'll inspire some of the people who've joined us. And I want to take a moment to thank everyone. We are coming up to the top of the hour, and it's been such a wonderful and nourishing conversation. I'm grateful to everybody for joining and for the wonderful chats. And I was wondering if maybe one of our guests might want to do our closing. If not, we will come up with something.
I think Renee's going to do it.
Yeah, Renee, would you
Yeah.
like to?
I certainly can. I volunteered. I would like to have a moment of silence. Om Bhuva Swaha Tat Savitu Varenyam Bhargo Devasya Dhimahi Dhiyo Yo Na Prachodayat. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Hosea 2:18 in the Bible says, "And in that day will I make a covenant for them with the beasts of the field and with the fowls of the heavens and with the creeping things of the ground. And I will break the bow and the sword and warfare out of the earth and will make them to lie down safely." Hosea 2:18. In Ecclesiastes 3:19 through 21. "For that which befalleth the sons of men befalleth beast. Even one thing befalleth them, as the one dieth, so dieth the other. Yea, they have all one breath, so that a man hath no preeminence above a beast." Isaiah 66:3 and 4. "He that killeth an ox is as if he slew a man. He that sacrificeth a lamb, as if he cut off a dog's neck. He that offereth an oblation, as if he offered swine's blood. He that burneth incense, as if he blessed an idol. Yea, they have chosen their own ways, and their soul delighteth in their abominations. I also will choose their delusions and will bring their fears upon them, because when I called, none did answer. When I spoke, they did not hear. But they did evil before mine eyes, and chose that in which I delighted not." So I'll just close our eyes and I will take us through a meditation. Few deep breaths. Exhale all the way out. Take a deep breath in and out. Let's just imagine for a moment that we are living in a time when Eden was vegan. We're living in the world of Genesis 1:29, where we are able to commune with all of nature, and nature is communing with us. We are living in a time and in a place and in a frequency that embodies divine, vegan, creative principles. Take a few moments and breathe those principles of creative veganism into your being. And now, become increasingly aware that creation, given free will, chose evil, chose to harm animals, chose to use animals, chose to commodify them, chose to harm the planet. But we that are awakened in the prism of divine, creative, vegan principles, we have the responsibility and the honor of shining into the world from the inside out, that prism, that spectrum of healing light that is and embodies Genesis 1:29. Take that thought, take that awareness, that beautiful creation story of us all being together with the animals and the animals with us, the lion laying with the lamb, us all walking hand in hand on beautiful pastures where everything is sacred and everyone is cared for, and humans are finally in a place where true dominion over creation is realized. Let's all take that vision into our individual and collective journeys. Exhale, inhale, and together let's do 3 ohms. Thank you.
Well, thank you, Renee. Such an amazing meditation and opportunity to go back through a time tunnel into that time in our world where peace and harmony reigned. And what a beautiful vision to be there in Vegantopia.
Yes.
So,
It was such a great honor to be with all of you. Thank you so much.
yes. So may all of you keep that lovely divine presence in your souls of that time and the vision that Renee just gave to us. And also this time that we've been able to share with one another. We look forward to sharing this again in a couple of months. And we're very grateful to each of you for being here. So many vegan blessings to all of you. and we'll close with our Namaste Vegan.
Namaste, vegan. Thank you, Renee and Carol. This has been wonderful. And thank you, Lisa.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, ladies.
It's
I
wonderful being
appreciate it.
here. Yeah.
See you
Thank you.
soon.
Yes, see you soon.
Yeah.
Have a wonderful evening, everyone. We'll see you next
Bye.
time. Good night.
Good night.